Several years ago, I discovered the art and stories of William Joyce. Joyce is the creator of The Guardians of Childhood, which details the stories of Nicholas St. North, who is Santa Claus, E. Aster Bunnymund, who is the Easter Bunny, Toothiana, the Tooth Fairy, Sandy McSanderson, who is the Guardian of Dreams, and Jack Frost, the Guardian of Play. Joyce writes picture books and middle grade novels, and both of them are magical and adventurous. My kids love them almost as much as my husband and I do. In 2012, DreamWorks came out with Rise of the Guardians, a movie based on Joyce's concept of the Guardians. It was full of color and beauty and is still one of my favorite ones to watch with my children. Well, Joyce recently came out with a brand new picture book called Jack Frost. The artwork is incredible, the story is wonderful, and it's one of those books you'll want to have in your library forever and ever. So very good. Joyce also wrote the beautiful book, The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore, which was made into a short film a few years ago. I've loved all of Joyce's work and can't wait to see what he comes out with next. I'm still working through the author training manual by Nina Amir, which is a guide that takes you through each step of writing a book proposal for both fiction and nonfiction projects. Amir includes a 35-page questionnaire in the back of the book that, when answered, will form the basis of a book proposal or business plan. Agents require nonfiction writers to submit book proposals, but even if you're writing fiction or self-publishing, this is a helpful guide to have, because every book needs a business plan, and the questions Amir asks help authors find a more aligned focus on things like intended audience and book purpose and similar titles on the market. It's been a valuable resource for my business, and I'm taking each of my projects through the questionnaire. I probably knew this all along, but it's not enough to have a good idea. We also have to make sure we develop that idea with an intended audience in mind, and make sure that it is truly an original idea. I believe that every idea can be made original, even if it's been done before, because we are always writing from our own personal experiences, and because our experiences are all different, we'll never have the exact same book. But it's still smart to have an idea of other books that might deal with similar content so we can clearly see where our experience might make our take on the subject different and fill a hole that the world needs. This book is a fantastic resource for both traditionally published and self-published authors. This week I didn't write as much as I would in a normal week, because I was working on some scripts for a video series on brainstorming that I'm going to give away. I've also finished up a few rough draft projects and didn't want to get started on the final drafts because I'm planning to participate in NaNoWriMo, which happens every November and encourages writers, wherever they are on their journey, to write a 60,000-word rough draft novel during the month. And I wrote all the scripts for the videos I'll be releasing as an inside look into my next book release, a series called Family on Purpose that will hit stores December 2nd. But even if I don't log as many words one week as another, I try to remember that it doesn't have any bearing on whether or not I'm improving as an author, because the other things I was working on this week are just as important. If we want to be successful as authors, there will always be other things we have to do in order to make our careers successful. Other things like writing proposals for our books so that we have clear focus and direction for them. Things like writing scripts for a video about a book we'll be releasing soon. Things like getting our books to the places that will sell them if we're self-publishing, and the people who will review them if we're traditionally publishing. So the number of words I produce are not the only measure of my success as an author. Last week I talked about how I listen to Fall Out Boy when I'm writing from the perspective of Jackson in my literary novel, All That Came After. The story is told from the first-person perspective of 4 different characters, and so I listen to different Pandora stations for each of those characters. When I'm writing from the perspective of Jackson's father or mother, I switch between Coldplay and Imagine Dragons. When I'm writing from the perspective of his aunt, I typically listen to Ellie Goulding. I find it helpful to vary up my music when writing from multiple points of view, because having those different stations helps me to get into the mindset of my characters and write from their personalities better. Recently, someone asked me about my practice of writing 4 hours a day and yet still remaining healthy. It's not good for a body to sit stationary for 4 hours a day. So several weeks ago, I set up a makeshift standing desk. I have this dresser in my bedroom, which doubles as my office, and I stacked a few Writer Digest books on it to bring my computer to the correct height. I usually stand for all 4 hours of writing, and then I have about an hour left when I do my reading, and I typically lie in my bed for that hour. Writing with a standing desk has increased my word count by about 20%. Usually, if I'm feeling stuck in a plot line or an essay, I'll take a step back, or bounce on my toes, or do some other movement that helps my brain start working again. Movement keeps blood flowing to the brain, which makes our brains work better. So a standing desk has been good all around. If you have any questions about my writing or working or productivity, I would love to hear them. You can just post them in the comments. For more about what I do and the projects I have on my plate, sign up for my email newsletter. And for more on my shelf, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.